Welcome to Build with Blocks, a show centered around the micro action figures and brick-based construction sets of the Halo universe. I'm your host, Colin Perkins, and I'm joined by Tom Fishenden.
Bravo 6, going dark.
Matt Salvatore.
Ahoy, ahoy. What the hell was that?
And a very special guest, Gabe from G Customs. Welcome, Gabe.
Hello, everybody. I'm very happy to be here.
Woo!
On this episode, we're going to dig into the topic of customization. Gabe is an expert on that aspect of the hobby and creates many, many wonderful creations of his own. So we're going to learn all about his background and uncover, things that go into his process. We'll have some great, for those of you on YouTube, some great photos of all of his work. It'll be a really good conversation. Maybe you get some tips on how to create your own, elites and banished and all that sort of fun stuff. So
of untapped information.
All right. So before we get into the main topic, chat with Gabe, let's talk about what we've been doing on the block front, building or customizing or photography, stop motion. We got it all here for you today. So this will be a fun roundabout real quick. I'm going to go with Matt first. What have you been doing, Matt?
Ooh, actually quite a bit. So this past week, I guess I went back to Walmart and I got a couple more of the blind bag sets, and I got a Combat Evolved Elite, I got the Grunt, and then I got 2 of the Marines. So success.
Yeah, very nice.
And then I got another Yellow Spartan. But anyway.
And so you found those at Walmart, you said?
I did. So
Okay.
they're back on the thing. And then little off topic, but I was able to pick up the latest, I guess it's the Wonder Woman 1984 Lego set. It's an awesome build. I was very impressed with it. It's not too big, but it's got a lot of little play features, and the figures are good. Diana's helmet's really weird. I don't know what they were doing with that piece, but
okay.
It's weird.
And then is whack.
I picked up I had a bit of a Lego DC day, so I picked up the Lego DC Supervillains game.
Yeah.
It's fantastic, and it just makes me want so much to have a Mega Construx Halo video game in that style. I think that'd be fantastic. So just a couple of little things like that. Hopefully one day we get that. But those Lego games, they're quite a bit of fun. They're daunting though. They got quite a bit of work to do. You got to find all those bricks and mini kits. Yeah. I just finished Batman Arkham Knight, and you have to find all these like little riddles, and it's just crazy. So I'm not looking forward to going and finding everything, but fun game and some pretty nice builds. So that's pretty much what I've been doing.
There's like a million of those games too.
Oh, I know.
Shout out to Lego Jurassic World.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, there's one of those. I haven't played that one. How good is it? Good?
I mean, you're talking to a massive Jurassic fan. So yes, it's good.
That game was made for Tom. Literally just made it for him.
They did. I just wrote to them and I was like, guys, I'm a big fan. Do you fancy putting some dinosaurs in the game? And they were like, yeah, sure, we'll do that.
Do you fancy?
Don't. Everyone roasts me for using the word fancy. It's a normal British word, I swear.
Do you fancy?
I love it.
I like it.
I like literally it. So this is going completely off the rails, but I think our listeners will appreciate this. When I was over in Pittsburgh, all of my American friends laughed at me because we were going out for food, and a phrase that I said, which I thought was a perfectly normal phrase, was, "We don't know where to eat. Shall we take a wander and see what we fancy?" And everyone lost it. I was like, what?
A little different.
We don't say that here. They're clearly not familiar with the BBC.
My more eloquent friend.
Now say shaken, not stirred, and then we can move on.
Shaken.
No. We're not gonna do that. Come on. Here we go. Tom, why don't you take us out of this? Like, what have you been doing? What besides, dreaming about Jurassic World 2 for the Lego games?
I was gonna say it's the third film, Colin. God.
Right.
Well, I have been saving actually. So obviously, I mentioned to you guys the UK release date for the sets from Halo Infinite was meant to be end of June, so it was kind of July 1st on the reseller websites, and it's just bumped up to September for release date. So I don't know if that's what it's going to be or if they're just preemptively changing it until everything's locked down. But I'm kind of taking this time to save some money for the sets primarily. So hopefully I can get them in hand fairly early on, because I'd really like to do obviously some video content on them, the video reviews like I've been doing for other stuff, but they're probably going to be more traditional video reviews where it's longer format, looking at the product properly. And as you guys will know, I've also been talking to Ian about potentially doing some blog posts, and part of that will be doing written reviews, because I think there's a lot to be said for photos as well. So I'm really kind of trying to save up and get everything ready for that. I was lucky I actually got a bonus at work this month because we've all been working from home.
Congrats.
So yeah, it was cool. We were really lucky with that in that regard. So I'm going to put that in my savings and hopefully have that ready to go towards the sets when they release. So that's it. Lots of trying not to buy dinosaurs so I actually have money for Halo stuff.
Right. Yeah, we'll see. It's, there's so much speculation right now with Infinite, and maybe they're just moving it because they want, the reveal in July to set the tone for everything. So who knows? But hopefully it's sooner than that. We'll find out soon.
Yeah.
Gabe, why don't you tell us what you've been doing in your free time and building and all that stuff?
I have been influxed with a massive amount of commissions, so most of my free time is spent at my desk, either sculpting or painting. But in between commissions that I'm making for people that they've actually paid for, I'm starting to work on some secret projects, we'll call them, leading up to and for after the Xbox presentation in July. I do have some very, very big plans ready for when we get the next content drop from 343. But I've been going around to various targets looking for the Clash of the Rings packs, which is the latest blind pack series. I'm just trying to army build a few more of the elites and the grunts, because I do have some combat evolved customs that I look forward to making, like elites, the grunts with the little bump on their methane tank.
Yeah.
I've just got a lot from combat evolved in mind, but really, most of my free time is just spent on making more figures for the coming weeks.
How do you like those grunts compared to how you can build the back of it? Compared to the previous version where it's just all one piece.
Right. So how there's like the two shells and then the methane canister. I think it's a nice detail. It works better for me in terms of painting, because now that it's not all one piece, I can paint each one individually instead of having to paint around certain parts.
That makes sense.
I'm still waiting for Mega to make the rest of the Halo 4 grunts. They've only ever given us a Storm Grunt when there's the 3 other variants that have been in the games since 2012 now. So as much as I love the Halo Combat Evolved grunts, there's plenty of figures that I'm waiting for them to make.
Yeah. It's wild to say, and we've talked about it before, is there's so many figures that they've already released, but there's so many more that they can. It's just crazy how many different figures or how many different characters are out there in Halo.
Right.
Well, cool. So I'll give a quick overview. I haven't done a whole lot. We have started playing Halo Wars 2 for Mission Debrief. So, and that's, give me all the Mega Construx tie-ins, all the goodness that happens there. Still need that blister back. Haven't gotten to the mission yet, but there's lots of good stuff happening there. We met Atriox, we met the Banished. Good things are happening. Well, bad things are happening, but
So you finally met your favorite character.
I know, it's taken so long. But him, I'm telling you, Atriox and Palmer sitting in a tree. Who knows?
Okay,
let's leave that.
went to a dark spot.
Let's move on.
I also recently, I haven't been bought much, but today actually I was let out of my cage and ran to Target. I finally found the Game of Thrones Iron Throne set on clearance.
Nice.
I was waiting for it to go on clearance because I already have one and I gave it to my kids and they already lost pieces. So this one is for Daddy. And then I also picked up that Hunter that you left, Matt, a couple weeks ago. I did pick that up. I decided,
You're welcome.
there's one there. I was like, all right, I'll grab them.
Is that
And then I picked
the
up
Serpent Hunter?
the Remnant Hunter, the
Oh,
series, the Halo
yeah,
Heroes,
the
yeah.
Remnant Hunter. Nice.
And then I also grabbed this Spartan Operator, mainly because I wanted another one of those. It's a Blazer, isn't it? What is in there?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's a Spartan laser.
The one
Yeah.
with the like
Oh,
little
that's right.
UNSC logo. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I
paint
did pick
jobs.
up one of those too.
Yeah,
The detail on that Spartan laser is phenomenal.
Yeah, it really is.
the figure itself, like the colors are very bright, and I'm sure Gabe has made it look way better if he's got his hands on it. But
I do have a couple sealed ones.
okay, yeah. So you gotta. It's just a little too bright for me, as we've talked about that and some other stuff. But the detailing is very good.
Yeah, a black wash definitely helps out
Yeah.
to mute the colors a little bit.
Absolutely.
Gabe,
So
you need
let's-
to open the hushed casket and show us that.
I might.
Let's talk really quickly before we dive into more with Gabe about the Halo Heroes Series 12 that is out there.
Yeah.
People have purchased them. There are reviews out there by Sal from Halo Fan for Life, so check that out.
Shout out to Sal.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and make sure to give him credit if you do share those photos or any of those impressions, because he deserves it. He's putting in the hard work for us. What do we think about this series? So the last episode we just talked about our dream series, right? And it wasn't in the whole, what we think is going to come next. It was what we really want, what probably will never happen, but what we would want. But now we have a new series to talk about, and so we'll probably do a separate video or a separate conversation to go through everything. But I just want initial impressions from everybody. Yeah. So I'm going to go all the way back to Matt. What are your initial impressions of these 6 figures that we have?
Well, I mean, I don't want to say that I called the Elite Ultra and that's why we got one, but I mean, that's probably it. But for the most part, I like it. I'm not in love with the series. I think there's a couple of little things that kind of pull me back, but for right now, the Ultra and the Banished Brute, at least that's what I think we're going with Banished here, is phenomenal. The weapons look interesting.
Do they all have new weapons besides the sniper?
I know the Brute does.
I think they're all new weapons.
The Ultra has a repeater.
Yeah, plasma repeater and sniper are
which is a weapon that I think we should see more of, because it's an awesome weapon especially looks awesome in the figures. But the Ultra looks great. The only thing I would say would be I'm not a huge fan of the colors. It kind of dull. Like I said in the last episode, I like the white and the red design, but I still like the armor design, but just the colors are a little kind of meh. But I mean, Gabe can fix that for us, right?
That's right.
Yeah. As soon as I get it, that's the first thing I'm doing.
Tom, what about you?
Yeah, my man.
I like how many new pieces we're getting. I like that Mega have fully committed to that. Some designs have grown on me more than others. I'm not a fan of some things though, and that is where I'll leave that, because we can go more in depth another day.
Okay, sounds good. Gabe, what's your taste of these things?
I am absolutely in love with this entire lineup.
Yeah.
Specifically the Mark 7 and the
Mark 7.
The Mark 7 Spartan is definitely my favorite. I just something about the armor. I think that's one of the most perfect representations of a Spartan that 343 has done yet.
Nice.
It's got a mix of reach and 3 and 4 and 5. It looks great. But I definitely.
Is it a new helmet?
7. Yeah, it's a new helmet, back, chest, and shoulders.
Oh, so it's new everything. Okay, cool.
But yeah, I'm a really big fan of the Mark 7. Both Halo Reach Spartans look great. The Recon and the Gungnir. The Brute is interesting, I suppose. I'm waiting to learn more about where the Banished is in the universe. But I mean, as a whole, I'm a really, really, really big fan of the series.
Nice.
Yeah, the Brute it looks Banished to me. And then his chin hanging out, it still looks weird to me. I'm sure that's the art design of the new game and all that sort of stuff. But that helmet just looks a little odd to me. So maybe they'll explain more in the game, or maybe that's just something that we'll get used to as we see more of the armor sets from the Brutes.
Well,
But
something that's overlooked about that Brute is that the head mold is actually entirely new. It's not a Halo Wars 2 Brute head mold.
Okay.
It's got more of a longer snout. It's kind of more representation of like Halo 3, Halo Reach style, and it's got little ears. But it's a new piece, so I'm excited to see what they look like if we see them.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to speculate too much, but I do wonder if obviously that means maybe there's more Reach stuff coming as well. Because I know I said that I would like that, but it would make sense, and we do have a hint of Reach here as well with the Ultra and some of the Spartan choices.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm it's a mix for me. I really like the Marine. I think the sniper, we have a female head. That's fantastic. I'm disappointed that we don't have any named figures, but I feel like maybe somebody called that, Tom, maybe you called that we wouldn't get them because it'd be a spoiler, and that all makes sense. So not a huge deal for me. Go ahead.
It is a bit weird though, because they have I kind of think it's a case of they don't want to do spoilers. I think they just kind of felt that they had to put the characters in the sets again, like they did with the Halo 5 wave. So if you remember when that came out, it was like Arbiter and Chief in one set, Locke was in another set, Buck was in the Scorpion, and it feels like they might be going back to that format, which is why Chief's in the Pelican and also the Warthog.
That is a very excellent point.
Yeah.
But we haven't had a Halo Hero series without any named characters, right? This is the first one.
Yeah,
first one ever.
You're right.
So I guess that's my only point is, typically we get some name figures, but maybe these are named and we just don't know them. I think that was some of the speculation
Brute Warrior
that Sal had.
Character of interest.
Right.
He's the true hero.
I'm intrigued by the new look from the Ultra. Intrigued, so I want to see more of that kind of art style with the Sangheili. The Gungar, he just looks so beefy,
Yeah.
He's a beefy boy. He looks tough. So I'm into that. The helmet is, I don't think I've ever picked that helmet for my own Spartan, but that one's growing on me. But yeah, I'm glad and then the color. I think a lot of people online have talked about it. My initial reaction too was the color on the Spartan, the Mark 6 or Mark 7, excuse me, how it's a different color. I think we're just going to get some customization options in Infinite. That feels like that's what they're going with.
It's a bit bizarre, like just having one colored arm. It's very strange. I'm not sure if, I don't know, because that, obviously, again, I don't want to speculate too much because this would make for another episode, but that suggests to me that each individual armor piece could be colorable, which would be very interesting.
Which is back to Reach. I think 343's talked about that. How the armor customizations are going to be more similar to what they did in Reach.
Well, I didn't recognize that Spartan because of his red arm.
It's actually C-3PO.
Yeah, I knew it. It's confirmed.
It's Master Chief.
This is his new armor.
Oh man. Oh gosh. The only thing I will say is it seems like you guys are pretty positive on the Marine. I was actually kind of disappointed with that one because for me, and I have nothing against Call of Duty, but she looks more like a Call of Duty soldier than a Halo soldier. And that's the only kind of thing where it kind of gives me like, it looks like a Call of Duty soldier. And I got nothing against Call of Duty, but Halo's better. So
I am not a fan of the Marine at all, actually. I know I said I love the whole series, but the least favorite is the Marine. I don't like the.
Is it the camo?
No, the camo's amazing. Actually, the camo is incredible, but it's just there's so much debate about how Mega sizes their figures.
Sure,
how most people think Brutes are too small, which they are, or how Marines are just as tall as Spartans and everything. And now Call of Duty figures are taller than Halo figures due to their legs and the torso. And now that one Marine in the series is taller than all Spartan figures.
It's not Call of Duty legs, though.
What'd you say?
Yeah, in Sal's review, he says that the ankles are articulated and the Call of Duty legs don't have a ankle articulation. So I think they might still be in scale. Oh, they do at the boot, but they've not done feet with articulation.
Well, not all
You
Halo
might-
figures
yeah, you
are
might be
articulated
right.
on the
You
feet.
might be right about that. 'Cause
Yeah.
Keys has
Keys is, yeah.
foot
Yeah, Keys has
articulation,
got shoes. The only because I've got one literally on my right. The
Does
only
Halsey?
Call of Duty boots that have Halsey doesn't, but that was before they started doing them as removable at all. Yeah, the only Call of Duty ones that are movable are the boots where they're like not tucked in. So
Right.
I'm holding on to the hope that it may be like they may have somehow managed to shrink it down, because I know what you're saying. It is definitely the same knee pad sculpt, but I'm hoping that they've somehow like managed to change the lower part of the leg to incorporate that, because it's pretty silly if they haven't. And that was me finding a nice way to phrase that then. I would be
Yeah.
very frustrated if these Marines are now completely out of scale with every other figure that we've got in the lineup to this point. It just
That's
it makes no
Sal,
sense.
Sal did a comparison shot of the Mark 7,
Which was awesome.
next to the Marine, and I mean she's quite obviously taller. And when
Oh,
you look
boy.
at the other Marines that they've shown that are going to come in the Warthog, they use the exact same
Yeah.
leg mold that the female does, and it just makes me worry that now all of these new Marines are going to be out of place when put next to other ones.
Unless they're and I doubt they're doing this unless they're rescaling everything with new releases. But I doubt they're doing that.
If they did, they would have done the Spartans in this line. They would have scaled the Spartans up too.
That's a good point. All right, so enough on that. Those are some initial impressions. We'll dig deeper when we actually get our hands on stuff. But again, shout out to Sal from Halo Fan for Life for all that hard work and getting some good images and pictures or impressions for us. So yeah, let's dive into Gabe now. So let's get to know Gabe. We're gonna do. I want to know your history with Halo. So you obviously do custom creations, and the best place to find your work is Instagram. Is that right?
Yes, that's originally where I made my first ever page as sort of a portfolio for my figures, but it's now where I post every figure. I try to go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Definitely most of my fan base is there, but I do also have a Twitter where I try to frequent and post additional photos.
And that's G Customs Creations.
Yep.
After the hashtag of Instagram. So go check that out and follow along. Really, if you're if you're listening to us on your computer or wherever else, go check that out and see what he's done, because there's some really good stuff in there. But I do want to start with Halo, because we always start with what's your history with Halo. I'm interested. Did you play the games early? Did you just pick up the figures? I've talked to collectors that only do the figures because they thought they were cool looking and never played the games. So what's your background?
My earliest memory of Halo was what year did Halo 3 come out? That was 2007, right?
7, yep.
Yeah, 2007, Christmas Day. My older brother had gotten the Halo 3 edition of the Xbox 360.
Oh, nice.
And I remember all day long, I sat next to him as he played on Sandtrap. And he pulled the unplugged controller thing where he let me pretend I was playing with him. But
how old were you? Do you remember?
Oh wow, 2007. I would have been. I suppose I would have been 6.
Okay, so you're old enough to know what you're doing, like playing the game.
Yeah,
but, yeah.
I'm a relatively young member of the Halo community. At least that's what most people tell me. Like I never had the chance to grow up playing Combat Evolved or Halo 2, but I do remember strongly playing Halo 3 all the time with my brother. I think it was around 2012 when Halo 4 released is when my dad had got me my first Xbox 360 for myself when I moved in with him. It was the Halo 4 limited edition Xbox, actually, with the lights and sounds and everything.
Oh, cool.
So I got Halo 4 right as it came out, and I played that every day after school. And then I think the first time that I was actually able to go to like a midnight release was for Halo 5. I was 13.
Yeah.
And I went with my other brother, Alex, and we went into a GameStop and bought it together, and we played for hours and hours and hours. I think it was it was one of an all-nighter kind of thing. But
you had to pass the controller, right, in Halo 5?
Right.
Which is a bummer, but yeah. That's awesome. So have you played them all? Played all the games, or have you just played the
Yeah.
major releases?
I've played every single Halo game there is to date, except
Nice.
for it's one of the RTS. I can't remember if it's not Spartan Strike. It's the other one.
Well, it's
Spartan
so
Assault.
no, Spartan Assault was the one that's on Xbox. Spartan Strike is the one that's only on PC and tablet. It's the one with the
so
orange Spartan.
Right. So I guess I've played Spartan Assault then, but I haven't gotten the chance to play the other one. But I have played all the main titles from
Nice.
from 1 to 5.
How about lore
Nice.
wise? Are you into the books and stuff too, or?
Yeah, I've got a very expansive collection of all of the books and comics. Actually, I did go to Outpost this past summer, and I got Halo the graphic novel signed by Steve Downs and Jen Taylor.
That's a good one.
So it's one of my prized possessions now. But
Nice.
I am fully immersed in Halo. I mean, I immediately was addicted to it from the first day I started playing with my brother.
That's cool. Nice. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I've talked about my history before. It didn't grab me right away. I was a little bit older, and I was more into other types of games. But once I did, it does. It's amazing how the universe, because you realize how vast it is, and there's so many different ways to absorb it. And it's not as I don't know, prevalent as Star Wars, right? It's like Star Wars is all over the place. You get so much Star Wars stuff.
Oh yeah, of course they've been around since what, the 70s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but there is more of Star Wars just kind of out there. It's more in the I guess pop culture spotlight all the time. So you tell somebody Star Wars, or Halo, they're probably that isn't a fan of gaming at all. They're going to be more familiar with Star Wars. So it's still kind of a little bit of a I don't know, a little bit of a niche from a science fiction standpoint, right? So
I could agree to that to a point. I think it's impressive. Even let's see, Halo came out in 2001. I think in 20 years, it's amazing that it has taken such a strong hold in gaming. Like if you see a picture of an energy sword, I feel like most people immediately know what that's from.
That's from Halo.
They might not know what it is, but they'll be like, "Oh, that's Halo."
Mm-hmm.
It has grown quite a lot, and I'm glad that it is the face of Xbox, because it's an amazing series.
Absolutely. So talk about we obviously are focused on the action, the micro action figures and building stuff. How did you get into that hobby to begin with? Are you a Lego guy from back in the day, or when did you start getting into it?
When I was really young, I had Lego, and the same brother I was talking about who got Halo 3, that same Christmas he had gotten the Arctic Warthog, which came with 2 red Spartans, a Ghost, and a blue Halo Wars Elite.
Mm-hmm.
And about after, maybe a month later, he didn't want it anymore. And because he was 16, 17, and I was only 7 or 8 by this point, and he gave it to me. And only playing with Lego, you've got I don't even know if you would call them like the hinge shoulders, and then you've got the hinged knees.
Mm-hmm.
But when I looked at one of these, I mean, you got ball joint legs, ball joint shoulders, hinged elbows, hinged knees. You can pose the head. It was just something about when I got that first figure, it was amazing to me. And then every holiday from the moment I got that one was always, can I get Halo Mega Bloks? Can I get the Wolverine or the short sword or something? And
nice.
I amassed a collection extremely quickly.
Oh, cool.
I think right now I'm sitting around 1.6, 1.7 thousand figures.
What?
Whoa.
Get out of here.
I've got a pretty, it is expansive.
So how do you even keep track of that many?
I have, oh goodness, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've got 42 organized containers.
Wow. And so are they all unique, or are they just total number of figures?
If we're speaking unique, I'd say around let's say 700-800.
Yeah.
I mean, about half of them are unique figures. The other ones are either customs or doubles or something.
Do we know? Is there a number? Do we know how many unique figures have been created?
If you went on the Mega Construx website and went to Halo to look at their catalog, I'm sure there's a way to find that out.
They don't have them all on there,
Probably
though.
the same number Gabe's got, I'd reckon.
Yeah, probably. There are a few I am missing that I'm desperate to get after, but I'm not sure what the exact number of like released official figures there are.
Yeah.
I'd
Somebody
place it
knows
around 1,000 at least. I mean, there's a lot.
Yeah.
Sad,
Yeah.
though.
There's a local collector. I mentioned him before, the one that I split the big lot with. He and his son are very close to having them all. I haven't asked him what the total number is, but yeah, I would say it's edging up to 1,000. There's no doubt.
Is that just out of curiosity? Is that Bovey?
Yes. Yeah.
Thomas
You know
and
Bovey.
Daniel?
Yeah.
I'm friends with them. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, great guy. Awesome. So let's talk about when did you start customizing then? So you figured out this crazy awesome articulation, how it's, we all think it's better than Lego, but once you had that in your hands, you were still young. When did you start to play around with the way that they looked?
It was a couple years after so my dad, my stepmother, and I had moved a few hours away into a different town. And every day before school, my dad was a security guard, and he would go to work, and I would wait up for the bus. And this is actually, it's how I met Sal. Actually, was I used to read his blog when I was little. I used to read it every day before school. And at some point, I had seen a picture of a figure that I knew wasn't official. And I was really confused. So I went on Google Images and I looked up like painted Halo figures. And I was dropped into this world of possibilities that were, well, infinite. I mean, you could just there were so many people that had made so many different figures that looked incredible. And I wanted to do that. I saw that and was like, oh my gosh, I could make, any figure I want.
Did you have an artistic background though, like before when you were looking at that? So were you doing stuff in school, like art class, or were you doing stuff on your own at home?
My dad was a Marine for 20 years.
Oh,
and
cool.
when he got out, he got an art degree. And he's always, he can paint, he can draw. Right now, he has his own page where he works with ink to recreate comic covers on canvas. Oh, but cool. He's always been amazing in his artistic abilities. And he's taught me, ever since I was young, how to be creative in that way. So he had given me some acrylic paints that I took back to my room, and I just started, sloppily just putting it all over my figures and seeing what I could do. But
right.
I kept doing it, and I did it. I'm sure, without exaggeration, I think I did it every day for at least 3 years.
Cool.
It just became my new favorite hobby. I would do it all the time.
Yeah. So would you redo the same figure and take off the paint, or would you just kind of the ones that you had from your collection try to customize?
If I had doubles, I would only paint doubles. I would never paint a figure that I didn't have more than one of, just because I didn't want to lose that part of the collection. Yeah. But my parents were nice enough that I was never short on figures. If I ever needed something, they were happy to supply me with that. They were
give you some blind packs.
Doing something.
But they knew you were doing that, so they're encouraging you to be creative.
Oh yeah, my dad since the very beginning has always, he's been amazed seeing the progress from then to now, but he's always been happy with me doing this.
Cool.
Nice.
That's great.
I'm interested. Do you still have any of the original ones that you painted way back when?
I do. They are in a bag in a vault at the bottom of the ocean because they are plastic. They're chipped and they're lumpy, but yeah, I have pictures. I actually, when I was young, I got my dad to record me, and I would do reviews on YouTube of my custom figures. So somewhere in the archives, there are old YouTube videos of 12-year-old me reviewing my first ever custom figures.
That's so cool. You need to send us a picture so we can show it.
I will.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. Matt, do you have any thoughts, any questions for Gabe right away?
Well, I just the idea of customizing figures is so neat because obviously, did you want to maybe make it look a little more game accurate, or did you just want to have fun and maybe put them in a different color? So game accurate was your goal?
That was immediately what I went for. I was never really about I could paint it all different kinds of colors, but I'd always want to see how realistic compared to the
Nice.
game I could get it.
Mm-hmm. So, I guess is that from like just like the color of their armor, the way their armor looks, like what specifically about that kind of drove you?
Trying to think of like an example. So like with the original Halo Wars Spartans, like a green or a red one, I looked at Chief from Halo Legends, and I like repainted one olive green, and then I put the 117 on his chest and all that. I just tried. I don't
Nice.
know. I mean, I just tried to see like what if there weren't characters made already or something.
Yeah.
I would try to recreate it. I do remember one specific one that my dad was a really big fan of. It was a High Counselor Elite from Halo 2, which
Nice.
obviously they still haven't made. But I had taken cardboard and cut it to the shape of the helmet, and I put it on the figure, and then I painted it, and it it looked goofy, but I was happy with it.
That's
It's mad,
cool.
but I remember that. I think
Do you?
is that I'm sure you've shared that one. That was an old articulation version of it, wasn't it?
Yep, it was posted on.
Because
Facebook.
I remember being so mind blown that it was cardboard. Because my brain was instantly like, what happens if you drop it? Like,
Cardboard can bend. It's one
Yeah.
of the most reliable materials I've ever used.
That's pretty neat though that your goal was to kind of personalize the universe, because one of the main critiques I've always had of Mega Bloks is that originally it was just generic Spartan 2 or Marine, and as they went on they personalized it. And that's really awesome that even then you were like, I need to make a Master Chief.
Right,
Mhm.
yeah. I mean, it's one of the top characters, and until 2013, we didn't get an official Master Chief character. I think the first one was released with the Cryotube set.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was Forward
Yeah.
Unto Dawn.
A Cryotube was released prior to Forward Unto Dawn, I believe.
Oh,
because it was
okay.
the
I
first
know
of
which
the
one you guys are
signature
talking about.
series.
Yeah,
they're
I know
both
it's-
right around the same time window. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Same year.
I have a feeling that the PAX Hog came with an official named chief. Just because I know that was an Arbiter as well, so I have a feeling that Spartan 2 might have been
You might be right about
named.
that, actually. I forgot
Yeah.
that Pax Hog.
Just because I've got that figure kicking around and it's got some slightly different paint schemes on it. There's like more black undersuit on the sides.
Yeah, it's
So
like
they
based
definitely
off of
did more
CE,
with
I
it.
think.
Yeah.
That's one
What-
set that I've never been able to locate, and I so desperately want it.
Yeah.
And it makes sense that we didn't get Chief until then, because we've talked about Halo Wars is the launch of this, and then Reach came out around there. So there wasn't a Chief until Halo 4, in like an active game. So that's
Yeah, that's
interesting
true,
that they didn't
'cause-
even give us one just because Chief is the guy, right?
Yeah, because Mega Bloks, they originally their first partnership license with Bungie and Halo was for Halo Wars, which obviously never had Chief involved. So I guess it does make sense that until Halo 4 released, then they actually had a reason to make him relevant in the series again.
Yeah.
Well, what was the first personalized figure? Was it Chief?
Oh wow!
It was Cortana.
The first one I ever did was. Oh wow, that was probably Emil. Actually.
Oh, nice.
It was a few years after Halo Reach released that I took a Halo 3 EVA Spartan, and I sculpted out of toothpicks. I chopped up a toothpick and I made the 55mm grenades, and I painted it silver, and I painted the skull on his face, and then I said it was Emil.
Excellent.
That's cool.
Good shout, though.
Matt, you're saying what is the first official character that they released from a Mega Construx standpoint?
Yeah.
So that. Go ahead, Gabe.
Tom, you probably know this.
I think it was Cortana in the season 4 blind bags.
You're right.
I don't think we had anyone before then.
Interesting. But that would have been right around Halo 4, right? Or not?
That was right around Reach, I think.
Oh,
or
so like
before
it was Cortana
Reach.
during Reach. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it was before Reach, because the Series 5 blind bags introduced the Grenadier sculpt. So yeah, it was right around like that kind of gap between Halo 3 and Reach.
Yeah, 'cause
And
Halo, the Series 4 blind packs had Cortana, a Halo 3 Combat Elite.
yeah,
Yeah, it was probably 2011, 2010,
yeah,
2011.
that sounds right to me. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're spot on with 11. That
Well,
sounds about
Reach
right.
was 2010, so just right
Yeah.
around that window. Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, because they
Interesting.
always took a while to get stuff out afterwards, which is why I'm sure a lot of the Reach toys like came out that summer alongside the blind bags that then had. Yeah, man,
Yeah,
I'm going
Spade.
right down memory lane here.
Well, let's bring it back to Gabe and like the customization process that you have now. So we've talked a little bit about how you cobbled together things when you were younger and learned from that experience. But what's your process now when you're set out to create a new figure? Are you creating them? I guess you've mentioned commissions. So people are approaching you and saying, "Hey, I need one of these."
Yeah.
Are you doing all commissions? Are you doing also like creating things that you think people will want then?
Oh yeah, I definitely
Okay.
do both. I've done, I guess, probably around like 400 individual commissions, but it's a good mix of people that want like official character, well, non-official, official characters,
Hmm.
and then people. One of my most popular actually is like people doing their in-game character from either Halo Reach or Halo 4.
Oh,
Oh,
that's neat.
But yeah, I mean, I do make characters in hopes, not just for people to that want them, but in case Mega hasn't made something. Like my most recent Artas Vadum figure from Halo 3. I think I posted that back in March.
yeah,
That
Artas,
was
yeah.
one that I've just always wanted to see from Mega, and they finally released a Halo 3 Elite mold. So I went ahead and I made that one. The process to making them it's definitely evolved over the years. I think when I was younger, I started by using like apple barrel acrylic paints, and there was this clay that you had to bake to harden.
Okay.
And since then, the paint brand I used was Testors Enamels. It was the quickest one I could find, so I went from acrylic to Testors Enamel, and then I only stopped using Testors Enamel about three and a half years ago when I upgraded to Citadel acrylics, and now
Nice.
I use Citadel, Army Painter, and Model Master acrylics. So I'm entirely acrylics based now, and what I sculpt with is a product called Green Stuff. I'm not
Really?
sure if you've heard of it,
Nice.
but you take it's a putty that you take 1 part blue to 1 part yellow, and you mix it until it's green, and then you have about an hour of work time with it until it cures and it hardens.
Okay.
That's
And
fascinating.
you can paint it, you can carve it, you can cast it. I mean, you can do pretty much anything with it. It's an amazing material to work with.
Have you
And
done
what's
any
it
video
take,
of
like-
yourself? Sorry, have you done any video of yourself customizing this stuff?
Not since I was 12.
Okay.
I've definitely thought about it. I want to make some tutorials. That's probably one of the biggest questions I get on my pages is, do you have a YouTube channel or will you do YouTube tutorials? And I've been looking into getting a camera or a stand of some sort. That way I can actually fulfill that question for a bunch of people, because I would love to show people how I actually go about creating these figures. It's a lot of fun, and I'd like to help people if they ever want to try it themselves.
Yeah. Matt, did you have a question?
Yeah, going back to the molding clay, what's the weight like on that? Is it heavy, or what would you consider it?
Oh no, not at all. I mean, so I'm trying to think of like one of my heaviest sculpted figures would probably be one of my Reach elites, like a field marshal. Chest, helmet, thighs, forearms, everything on it is sculpted, and it's the exact same as a normal figure. I mean, there's virtually no difference.
That's awesome.
It's extremely lightweight, but it's very sturdy.
Yeah.
So the paints that you said you mentioned, are they, and I've my artistic skills are just they're suppressed, right? Like in high school I did some art and I could have gone down the art path, but I just haven't done anything, for the last probably 20 years really. But are the paints that you use, are they top of the line, or are they just the ones that you find are the best for doing the minifigures?
I would say in the miniature painting community, which I guess is bigger now. Citadel is definitely one of the top quality paints. I mean, it is a really, really good. In my personal experience, always stays on, hardly ever like rubs off at all, which was the problem with enamels that caused me to upgrade. Enamels over time erode the plastic. With acrylics, they're made for miniature painting, so they go on even, they go on smooth, and they look perfect.
Okay, so there is a difference in like the quality, the price point, all that sort of stuff, and the paint they use.
Definitely. I think a single pot of Citadel paint is roughly $4 or $5, depending on the color or the size.
Sure.
And the testers enamels were like $1 a piece. So it's a little more expensive, but with expense does come quality of the work that I can make now.
So if you were gonna make me a custom Mickey, I'm sure you've done those. Like, what's take us through a custom Mickey.
Okay. Custom Mickey. Another question I do get asked is if part color matters, because obviously Mega makes a lot of figures in different plastics. So you'll have a red ODST or a blue ODST or a brown ODST. The plastic color has absolutely no meaning. Every piece paints the same.
Interesting.
So you could give me a completely mixed up figure and it'll come out looking immaculate once it's painted. It's no matter at all. For a Mickey, I'd probably start with a base ODST. Now, Mega has made an official Mickey only ever released once in one signature series that was out for maybe 6 or 7 months. It's an extremely rare figure. But they did use the shoulder and the helmet mold over again. So either I locate those, or if I can't, they're extremely easy to sculpt. But at the base, I would start with an ODST. I would paint it in gray. Then I would apply the red details that he has on his shoulders, chest, helmet.
Do you take his armor off first?
Yes, I disassemble all figures and I paint them on kind of like donor bodies. Just, ones I don't care if they get paint on them or not.
Okay.
And then after the pieces are painted, I reassemble them.
Gotcha.
Oh, nice.
But I probably do, the base gray and red, apply black, seal it once. I use a spray sealant. That way all the paint is safe and it won't scratch off and I can paint over it again if I have to. Then I probably apply smaller fine details like any buckles that are in silver, any finer black details along the visor. I have actually, I'm not sure if you notice in game, but on all of Alpha 9, along the left side of their chest, they have Mark 117 written in white, and those are some fine details that I hand paint.
Interesting. I didn't notice that.
I'd probably finish the figure with a matte coat, just because in Halo, so from Halo 1 to Halo Reach, most of the games have a very dry, weathered, rustic look, and it's not until you get to Halo 4 and Halo 5 that Spartans take on a more glossy and clean look. So I'd probably do a matte spray, that way it looks dry, and then I'd do a black wash and then a dark tone to bring out the details and the mold of the figure.
How about the visor? How much time do you spend on that?
On the figure as a whole, or just on the visor?
Just the visor, I'm saying, like, because we've talked about visor colors and outlines and all that sort of stuff. How much do you treat that piece of the armor?
I think visors they're a pretty significant part of a figure. I mean, I do always try to make sure that the visors, in some cases, it's better to contrast with the armor colors. In some cases, it's better for it to pair well. But I have certain dedicated metallic colors that I use. So, like, again, with your Mickey, I'd probably use a gloss dark blue. So that way it gets the kind of the little sheen that ODSTs have.
Very cool. I feel like Tom's got a couple questions that keep cutting him off.
It's all right. I'm really conscious that I have a bad habit of talking over people, so I'm trying really hard to
get in there,
not
Tom.
do it and just get in when I can. So I was interested when it comes to obviously sculpting additional parts? Like, I know it's something we've spoken a lot about in our messages anyway, Gabe.
Yeah.
But how do you go about scaling them? Because obviously Mega have got their parts predefined. So how do you then get it into that scale that they've got for their figures?
Yeah, you really just gotta eyeball it. I mean, it really is just for me. I mean, I put the green stuff on, I shape it to the basic dimensions of whatever I would be sculpting, and then I
Yeah.
cut off the excess, and then I sculpt all the fine defining details of that piece, and I put it on the figure, and if it looks the right size, then it goes on to paint.
Oh, wicked.
But I mean,
Cool.
I guess really it's just eyeballing it.
Yeah. Sometimes the best work comes from that style.
Yeah, I mean, there's no real way for me to measure it or to accurately size it to everything else.
Right.
But because Mega, they've got they can size it down from the games themselves where they get the models. But I do try my best to make sure that everything is uniform and looks the proper scale.
Cool. And then I was going to ask, when it comes to obviously source material, do you have like, I don't know, an archive on your computer where you've got loads of reference images saved, or do you just pull things up as and when you need them? Like, how do you go about that whole process?
So like right now I'm working on roughly 6-7 different named characters from the Halo universe. So on my phone, I have tons of images saved in my photos, but I also have multiple pages pulled up with pictures of each character as I need them. So whenever I work on one, I just go to my photos and I pull up whatever angle I need, or I go in game and either with a co-op partner or in theater mode, I just fly around and I take screenshots on my Xbox and pull them up that way.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's a good way of doing that.
I was gonna ask real quick, the back to the painting thing. How do you deal with like the layer of paint, like before it starts to, I don't know, overtake the detailing of the plastic mold? How difficult is that? Because that's something that I would worry about. Is like I would probably just clump on the paint and then you wouldn't be able to see the armor anymore.
Like if the paint is thick or something.
Yeah.
Citadels, luckily, are most of them in my experience are extremely thin already. If one is a little too thick, since they're acrylics, you just add a couple drops of water, mix it around, and it's nice and thin and it runs very smooth. Most Citadel colors, they cover pretty easily in one coat. Yellows, lighter blues, or lighter greens, you may have to use a couple of coats. That way you can actually cover the original color of the Under Armour. But like I said, I mean, most of Citadel paints are pretty smooth, so they go on. You can see all of the detail immediately as you're applying. That way you know what exactly you're painting.
So the quality of the product that you're using makes a big difference. Cool.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So when it comes to obviously not just sculpting but painting as well, obviously throughout the different Halo mediums there's different art styles. So you've got Halo Legends, for example, which is very, very different to the video games.
Right.
And I know you touched on obviously using almost slightly more desaturated tones for the first few games, but I'm interested, do you ever get the opportunity to do stuff that's even more stylized, like if it's exaggerated sculpting or exaggerated paint highlights as part of the kind of commissions that you're doing?
I have never gotten a commission for anything from Halo Legends. Actually, now that I'm thinking about that, I've never actually had somebody commission me anything from Halo Legends. If you take something into account like the duel, that's done in a very unique, almost like a watercolor Japanese art style. If I were to try and put that on a figure, I'd likely just do it as if it was from the game. I don't think there's really a safe way that would make sense of me customizing a figure to look like that style. I mean, most things I treat them as they come from the games. If it's concept art or something that doesn't look exactly like how it does in the game, I do my best to be faithful to the original idea. Yeah. But if it comes down to how it would affect the final product or the stability of the figure, if I had to sculpt something, I like likely I'll just make it how it looks from the game that's closest to the original design.
No, cool. That makes sense. Then it kind of sits in with everything else as well. Well,
Yeah.
I think I'm done interrogating you.
I had a couple other questions, Matt. You got anything before I jump in?
No, go for it, man.
So and I'm looking through your Instagram
nice.
feed, your page. What's been the most difficult custom?
Oh, goodness.
I see somebody with like some stripes in his pants, his armor. That looks like that was tough.
You're probably is it white and purple?
It's an orange Spartan. He's got some horizontal stripes.
George's body. Yeah, that's Ubernick's figure. I'm not sure if you're familiar with any of the Halo YouTubers, but that's a figure that I had actually made as a gift for Ubernick.
Oh, nice.
It's a Halo 5 armor. Those surprisingly aren't that difficult. Like, painting for me is extremely easy, comparatively speaking, to sculpting.
Okay.
Like, if you look at, I'm not sure if you can find it while you're looking, but my original Halo Reach Elite Minor, Mega Construx has never made a new articulation Halo Reach Elite. So I had to hand sculpt all of the armor on that figure, and I had to make sure that it looked like it does in the game, but also looks like a figure.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say definitely Halo Reach Elites are some of the toughest figures for me to sculpt. There's nothing that looks close to them that Mega has produced.
Sure.
Because if I'm going to sculpt something, I do use a base. So like I'll take a base chest piece, and if I'm going to sculpt onto it, I'll sand it down. That way I can sculpt onto it and it looks uniform. But Mega has never made anything that looks even close to a Halo Reach Elite. So everything I just have to hand sculpt and hope that it looks good. So yeah, probably the hardest figure is probably any of my Halo Reach Elites, or I guess there's a few like armor configurations that are a little hard to work with, like Pathfinder. Yeah. Pathfinder has so many odd angles; they're extremely difficult to paint around.
Sure. What about what are you most proud of? What have you created? Maybe something that's on your shelf or something that you have commissioned that you've been like, yeah, that's the one right there.
Right. So it's got a bit of a story with it. I'll try not to take too much time, but the figure I am most proud of is a figure I made for 343 community manager John Junishek, or Unishek.
Yeah, nice. Unishek.
I made him his in-game Halo 5 character, which was a white Fotis Spartan on a Gungnir body. And along with that, I hand-painted a Fire Unicorn skin assault rifle.
Okay.
So when I went to Philadelphia for Halo Outpost, it was after one of the first panels where I think Steve and Jen had gone up and they did a storyboard reading or like a script reading. And I walked up to John and I said, "Hey, I'm G Customs." Prior to this, he had seen it. He had reposted it on his personal Instagram, on his Twitter. Actually, it was the first figure I'd ever gotten featured in a Halo spotlight.
Oh, nice.
As soon as it got featured, I think in that single night, I gained around 300 to 400 followers on my page. Ooh. I mean, that figure, it skyrocketed everything that I do. I mean, it completely changed everything for me. Mm-hmm. So when I had met John, I shook his hand. We talked for a little bit, and I said, "Hey, I brought something with me to give to you." And I showed him the figure, and he lost his mind over it. And I remember after the Outpost event, I came home, and a few weeks later, he had sent me a message around midnight because I guess he's in Washington. Mm-hmm. And he sent me pictures and showed me that he had put that figure in the Halo Museum in its own display case.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, nice.
So I think my most proud moment is being able to say that I actually have two figures in the Halo Museum at the 343 headquarters.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. Very cool, man.
Congrats too.
Yeah, that's
thank
great.
You. I lost my mind.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, it means you do good work, which is great.
Yeah.
What let's talk about what we want from Mega. So what have they produced, or what haven't they produced that you want specifically, Gabe? Is there armor type, or maybe a figure, or what are you kind of waiting for?
Oh wow. If there's something, so I definitely want them to make a Halo 3 Brute Chieftain. They've made minors, majors,
Yes.
captains, bodyguards, but they have yet to make a Brute Chieftain in Super Articulation, which I would die for.
Yeah.
I would love to have one of those figures.
Plus
Another one
scales.
is probably finally giving us a Kelly figure from Halo Legends. They made Red, they made Chief, but we've never gotten Kelly, which is a little puzzling to me. But a nice, a cool detail that I can throw in here about armors we want. Within the last 2 years, I've partnered with a friend in Germany. His name is Benedict, and we work together to 3D model and produce parts Mega has not.
Oh,
so
okay.
if you take a quick look on my page, I think we've made over 64 different helmets, such as Halo Reach Pilot, CQB. We've made Halo Legends, the Kelly. We've made her helmet, which is actually on a figure I'm posting next week. We've made Hayabusa. I mean, there's a lot of things that Mega hasn't made that we took it upon ourselves to 3D model, and they're printable and they're purchasable, actually, if you ever want them for yourself. But I would definitely say my top want from Mega officially is a Brute Chieftain. That would seal the deal on Halo 3 Brutes. I'd be happy with that.
Would it need to be scaled?
We all dream of having Brutes that are proper scaled compared to Marines and Spartans, but I don't see them doing it, of course. They would have to rework so many things, which would be extremely expensive, I have to imagine.
Speaking of scale, do you do any 6-inch figures or anything larger than the minifigures? Or have you done in the past? Okay.
I've been commissioned to do a couple McFarlane figures before.
Oh wow, those are already detailed.
Yeah, I don't post those on my page just because I try to keep it strictly Halo Mega Construx focused.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I've worked with all kinds of things: model cars, Hot Wheels, 6-inch figures. I've done a lot.
That's fantastic.
Did you, just while we're on the topic of it, did you want to shout out where people can get a hold of Benedict's products as well? Just so people are aware if they're looking to get some extra custom bits and bobs.
If anybody that's listening is interested in trying to view, or they're interested in purchasing any of the 3D products that we've come up with, you can go to his Instagram handle at bthal_mantacree, and you click the link in his bio, and it'll take you directly to his shop where we have all of the 3D modeled products, and they're available for purchase from Shapeways.
Very cool.
Perfect. Yeah.
Awesome.
Man, I'm just lost in your Instagram page right now.
It's a good place to spend some time.
It is.
Let it all kind of seep in,
It's just,
I appreciate it.
It's blowing my mind. It's very good. Any other thoughts, guys? Anything else you want to throw Gabe's way? Or Gabe, do you have any questions for us? I don't know.
I do have a question. Has there ever been a time where you're, working on a figure and you messed it up, and then you found a way to actually kind of like bring it around and make it look better?
Oh gosh.
Or have you ever had a nightmare story? Do you have one of those?
Yes.
Like you're almost done and then it breaks or something? Yeah.
I have one specific story. There was a figure I was making. I can't remember what the name of the armor is. It was an elite. I think it was my first time trying to sculpt an elite zealot from Halo Reach.
Yeah.
And I've gotten all the sculpting done on the helmet. The body was done, painted, it was sealed. The last thing I had to finish was the helmet. And I was turning it over, and it had slipped, and my thumb smashed all of the sculpting I had did, and there was just a big thumbprint on the top of the helmet, and I had to completely restart. And it broke my heart because it looked so good the first time. But I guess it gave me some more practice, so try to make the best out of it.
Yeah, that's a good bright side. How long does it typically take you to do a full custom? Maybe like I don't know.
Definitely
Yeah,
depends.
on average. On average, I guess.
So like with painted figures, if it's no sculpting whatsoever, it's just painting a figure, I can knock it out, including drying times, probably an hour or two.
That's quick.
If it's sculpting a figure, the sculpting material takes around 8 to 12 hours to fully dry and cure, so I have to wait all that time before I can paint it. So sculpted figures can take up to a week at a time or longer if that's what it requires. But
it's just because you're letting things dry, right? Like you're
yeah.
Right.
I mean, the actual sculpting itself, I mean, 2, 3, I guess some extreme cases 4 hours total. But yeah, most figures I can do pretty quickly. I just have to actually sit down and throw myself into my work.
Do you do more than one at a time? So would you ever do like 10 customs of the same figure?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm working. Oh, hang on. I can look at my desk right now. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I have 11 figures on my desk at the moment that I'm working on.
11 Pillar of Autumn Marines, right?
No. Good Lord, no. But I work on figures simultaneously all the time, just because while one's drying, I can paint another one, and while one is drying, I can sculpt another one. It helps with productivity and being efficient.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I'm quite interested. So obviously a lot of the stuff great word, Tom, well done, good English. I have just completely lost my eloquence.
Fancy stuff.
Yeah, so all of the wonderful figures that you make, obviously you try to keep them in line with the way that Mega works. So I assume that when it comes to a lot of the armor, obviously you sculpt the new sculpting on top of pieces that existed beforehand. But I was looking through, and obviously you've done some characters like Voridus, who has got a weapon that we haven't got in Mega format. So how do you start when there's not really a base to start from, if that makes sense? Like, where would you go?
That's
do you
an awesome question.
Cut things up? Where does that start?
With Voridus, he's the one with the hand cannon, right?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Right. With Voridus, that was actually, wow, that's a really interesting figure. I had sculpted grenades onto his back. It was horrible trying to find reference photos for that character. But I sculpted grenades onto his back, and then I had fit a peg piece for him to hold on to inside of is anybody familiar with the side turrets of a Falcon?
Yes.
Yeah.
I took one of those and flipped it upside down and removed the barrel, and I stuck a peg inside of I hollowed it out, and I stuck a peg on the inside, and then I inserted his arm into the cannon, and I ran a chain belt from the gun to his back.
Bruh.
So
that is neat.
You gotta get creative.
That is really cool. Have there been any other instances of things like that you think people would find interesting, like taking pre-existing parts and manipulating the way you use them in ways that people wouldn't expect?
I'm not too sure. There's definitely been cases of like how I've made certain pieces and people ask, and I tell them, they're like, that is not how I expected you to do that at all.
Yeah.
Like with my Halo 2 anniversary elites, the way I made the helmet was from a Halo 4 Zealot helmet.
Oh, whoa.
And I completely removed the plating on the neck and the mandible guards that cover the entirety of the face. And really all I needed to have was the top portion where the peg goes into the elite's head mold, and everything else on the helmet was freehand sculpted with green stuff.
Wow.
Whoa.
That's cool.
Bravo.
I really like that. Yeah, taking things and repurposing it. That's awesome. So I kind of feel like I've gone back into interrogation mode. I've got a couple of other things I was going to ask.
I'm all open for questions.
Cool.
It gives me joy being able to talk about what I do with people other than my mom.
I'm glad to hear that, man. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
And she doesn't care that much, right? She's just proud of you.
Yeah, she just listens and gives me a every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
So that sounds
I've heard
like
that many times.
with
Yeah.
Jurassic. Yeah. So obviously I'm looking through, and you've got loads and loads of really cool things. Like one thing I'm staring at right now is the Grenadier with the energy sword through his chest, which is just
Yes, that
incredible.
was an original idea I had for Halloween. That
Cool.
energy sword is fully removable, actually.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Oh.
So you saying that was an original idea leads very nicely into what I was going to ask, actually. It's almost as if you read my mind. When it comes to your original ideas, what kind of sources of inspiration do you look at? So a good example for me, when it comes to toy photography, people like More Shots really inspire me, and I look at what
Anthony is
they're doing.
amazing.
Yeah, he does really cool stuff. So are there any people out there who you kind of look at and who you get inspiration from, or like sources of artwork or things like that?
So back in 2016, when I first made my G Customs Creations page on Instagram, I had tried my hand at making a superposable or a articulated brute chieftain figure.
Yeah.
I got the idea for that from a very, very, very well-known customizer on the Facebook community named Yarkane Abattoir.
Yes.
Okay.
He is one of the most brilliant customizers I have ever seen in my life.
Yep.
When we were speaking earlier about where, how I got into this hobby, he is the guy that I always looked at his customs and was just, my jaw dropped at how he was able to make such detailed figures out of, the basic Mega Construx stuff.
Yeah.
So there like my original ideas, such as, energy sword through a Grenadier Spartan. That one was, there's a lot of like fan art or concept art, and often even in cutscenes, you see the idea for that one was Emil getting killed by a zealot.
Just hit me straight in the feels.
Yeah, I was like, that energy sword went straight through his abdomen.
Yeah.
So I looked at a figure and I kind of thought about it. It was like, okay, well, there's a peg that goes in the bottom where the legs attach, and there's two pegs on the side where the arms attach, which means the center of the figure should be completely open. So I dremeled through the torso of the figure, and then I stuck an energy sword inside, and c'est la vie. Then that idea came to life.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's something so amazing and unique about custom figures, because not only is it amazing to see, but I think it also kind of gives back to the community in a way that they can get these figures that aren't sold, and it's something kind of personalized in a way that obviously Mega can't do. So I've always appreciated that amazing uniqueness that you guys bring, because I think it really kind of adds such a rich flavor to all of the Mega Construct world.
No, that is definitely one of my favorite parts of my job is there's one guy that comes to mind specifically that it's just something that makes me really appreciative of what I'm able to do. His name is Harrison, and his little brother plays the games with him all the time. And his favorite game is Halo Reach. And Harrison had contacted me and he said, hey, my little brother's birthday is coming up, and he's in love with Mega Construx, and I think it would be the coolest thing ever if he had his own Mega Construx figure. And I said, absolutely, and I went ahead and I made his little brother's figure from Halo Reach, and I sent it to him, and from what I've been told, he liked it a lot. But it's amazing seeing the reactions from people that collect just like I do, but then they have something that they can identify with, that it's them. Like, it is literally what they look like in the game, and it's personal to them. And the idea that I can help create things that, people are dreaming of is one of the best parts of it. I mean, I do question and answers, and I do, I post on my Instagram story, what do you all want me to make? So I do try to be very involved in the community and take suggestions from the people that follow me. But
that's awesome.
I mean, making people's custom characters and bringing that to life for someone that's one of the best parts about what I do.
I think it's nice as well because you get that energy and that buzz from people when you give them that item and you see kind of their face light up and everything. But equally, that's the kind of passion and enthusiasm that you put into this. And I know that when we were talking before recording tonight, you were so hyped to just talk about what you do for work. And I think that love and that passion for what you're doing really goes into it, and that lends itself a lot to the kind of work that you put out and a lot of the work that we all love. So in that kind of regard, because it's something else that we spoke about as well, I wonder if maybe you could give us a little flavor of what might be on the horizon in the future.
You want secrets? I can tell
Yes, please.
you. I do have I have a Halo Legends Kelly figure. All of the white has been applied. I just need to do the details. I have a Yutse Tom figure to pair with my Entho Soroam from Halo 3.
Yeah.
So he's on the horizon. I have a Hayabusa, a Halo 3 Hayabusa
nice.
in all new articulation. This is actually featuring one of our 3D printed helmets. It's better sized. It's better sized for Mega Construx new articulation. So definitely look out for that one. I've got plenty of Halo Reach figures, and then I have a certain special character who's going to be featured in the next coming title to post after the Xbox event. I think you all will enjoy. He's mean. He's green. He's a machine.
You had our attention, but now you have our curiosity.
Awesome. That's fantastic. So I have one more thing to highlight, I guess. Do you have any other questions, guys? You guys want to bring up before we close the show?
I'm golden.
I think I'm good.
One thing I will offer before we close up.
Yeah.
If any of you guys, I mean, I'm not sure how into the games you are, but if you ever want, a little miniature version of what you look like, I would totally be down. I'd be all for making you all a couple figures if you're interested.
That'd be
Awesome.
fantastic.
That's amazing. Thank you so
awesome.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for that offer. I do want to highlight. We'll definitely take you up on that. By the way,
Go for it. Hey.
I want to highlight. I've been staring at this thing. Your Greek Spartan 117. This guy is amazing.
Yeah, that's another Halloween idea I had.
Yeah. So that was your idea, or was that was a commission?
No, that was just something I wanted to. So every Halloween and every Christmas, I do try to do holiday themed figures of some sort. So like how Tom mentioned the Grenadier with an energy sword through it. That was Halloween of last year, I believe. And I try to do a few. So I think the year before that is when I did the Greek Spartan 117.
He's very good. Is it from a Kratos body, or is the body custom?
It is a Kratos body with Spartan Mark 6 boots, forearms, and a helmet, obviously.
Yeah.
But I'm actually in real life also very intrigued by the history of the Greeks and of the Spartans and the Romans, and I mean I find it extremely interesting. And even in what is it? I can't remember if it's Halo Legends or the Fall of Reach, where they teach the trainees or they teach the children of the tactics they used in ancient war.
Fall of Reach.
Yeah, that's such a cool sequence.
Something about seeing that made me think what it would be like to make a Spartan. So I went ahead and I sculpted the helmet and I made a shield. That shield's actually made out of a jackal shield.
Yeah, I can see it.
I don't know. I kind of just threw myself at that one, and when it was finished, I was pretty happy with it.
It's very good. Very good.
That's cool.
Thank
Little
you very
300
much.
there.
So what you're saying is, we are obviously focused on Halo, and we've talked about the other stuff you do. Is like you can do pretty much anything, which is great, and that's very empowering, I'm sure, for you and for fans to know that you're out there, that you can, make their dreams come true, right? And
I certainly hope so.
Create anything that people can come up with, which is fantastic. And we appreciate all the good work you're doing out there for the fans, and we hope that you continue to do it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, this is something. I mean, when I started doing this when I was about 12 years old, I had no idea that it would bring me to 8,000 people that enjoy what I do, or that I'd have a figure in the Halo Museum, or that I'd meet the voice of Master Chief. All of this has happened. I mean, the last 2 years is where it's really taken off, and it's been amazing. And I could have never guessed that all of this would come from me enjoying painting, tiny Mega Construx figures. And it's honestly, it's surreal. And I do hope that I can keep doing this for many years to come, because with the release of Infinite, I mean, I don't want to toot my own horn, but things are gonna explode. I've got so many hopes for Infinite. I am very excited. I've got big plans.
Yeah, that's what we like to hear.
Do.
Well, your work speaks for itself, and your success is definitely well earned.
Yeah, definitely. I just wanted to end by saying it's been really nice after something like 5 or 8 years finally getting to actually chat to you, Gabe, and hear so much about your work and everything that goes into it. And I think just from this conversation alone, your real, like I say, passion and enthusiasm for what you're doing irradiates, and it's infectious. I've just been sat here smiling at some of the answers you've been saying, because it's clear that you really, really love what you're doing. So I really hope that you get to continue doing it, because you're doing fantastic work. And I'm sure that we will have you on the show again in the future, because it's been such a blast for all of us getting to chat to you as well about it.
I would definitely be all for coming on the show again. It's been amazing being able to talk with you all about what I do. It gives me a lot of joy talking with other Halo fans that are interested in learning a little bit more. And I'm very appreciative that you all invited me on. It's been a great time, and I hopefully was able to share some things that people wanted to know, and give a little more information about what exactly it means to be a customizer of Mega Construx figures.
Yeah, well, we need to get the three of you together to do some stuff, because we got a photography guy, we got the guy that makes stuff, then we got the stuff that puts stuff in motion. You guys can do
something. Just date and a time, and I am there.
There we go.
There are lots of good ideas brewing in my head right now. I'm just the guy that talks.
You're the boss. You're the boss. You're our guy in the chair who coordinates everything.
I just make the notes. That's about it. All right, that'll do it for the show. Thank you for joining Builds with Blocks. If you like the show, please feel free to support us, Podcast Evolved, on Patreon. Until next time, we have Tom, we have Matt, and very special guest, Gabe. Thank you so much. G Customs Creations. Check out his Instagram and his Facebook. And we will talk to you next time. Evolved.
Evolved.
Evolved.